Well, guess what? I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. But I'm not Frankenstein. I'm sorry. Sometimes I wish I was a monster, but I'm not. I'm just a cool little guy. So, what are we talking about? Oh, to post the videos about Trump not wanting to negotiate with anybody about anything. And that's very true. He will only negotiate if you're willing to agree with him. Then it's a negotiation. You sit down and give him what he wants. He may give you a little trickle, probably cash or something, and he'll slip probably a few bucks to the negotiators under the table to get what he wants. But that's about it. He doesn't really like anybody to tell him what he has to do or can't do, and that's why he got had the Supreme Court got the Voters' Right Act, because when he does that, now he's depriving the minorities of a true voice in the politics of the country. And what'll have to happen is one of the things that's going to happen is we're going to have to rewrite it, and we can't rewrite it with him around. So he has to go, and he's not leaving people a peaceful method of doing it anymore, and that was his mistake. He doesn't want to give an inch. He just wants to take everything, and he wants it all to be him and to be his idea. And I'm sorry, I can't really go along with that, but that's Donald Trump. Mealy mouthed son of a bitch that he is. All right, what else is happening in the world of sex, violence, and politics, huh? Oh, little Kim is over there in North Korea praising soldiers that commit suicide. Now, I'm not 100% sure why he's praising them, but he thinks it's cool that they do it. Maybe because that they figured out that's the only way they're ever going to be free of his country and his influence on them. Sad state of affairs there too. That's like what's possible to happen here in a few years when we don't have any ability to vote legislators out of office because the minorities can't speak, and the minorities are the majority in this country. Pretty much so. White people aren't. And American Indians, who have been here longer than anybody, are again being persecuted. And I don't know how much longer people are going to take this. And you're not going to see a wild, crazy man try to take Trump out. You're going to see an organized effort to take the Republican Party out. And I'm not talking about at the polls either. It's like Trump is looking forward to that Manson situation, helter skelter, a race war. He's gonna force it, and I got to tell you, there are a lot of white people that are going to be on their side against him. So he's not. He doesn't have the majority of the people on his side. That's just foolhardily. He thinks he has the American army on his side. I don't think the entire army will get involved in a situation like that. Not everybody. I can't see the army going around killing Americans just because Trump wants to be in the king. Is he making their life better? No, he's not making. When they get out of the service, they've got nothing. He's gutted all their social programs and everything that helps them. So I don't understand why they even bother supporting him. But that's the way things go these days. People make decisions that don't make any sense. Trump and the blockade, he wants to extend it. I assume he's talking about time-wise because I don't think he can extend it in distance, which means that troops are going to be sitting on ships and stuff over in the Persian Gulf much longer, and that's not a good idea. I know they try to give him leave and they rotate him into the Arab countries that are friendly to us, like Saudi Arabia or Qatar, where they can't afford to spend any money because it's too goddamn expensive. And the poor areas are very dangerous, especially for American soldiers. But this is, Hegseth's thinking too. Hegseth doesn't think very well. He's a religious crusader now. He's like I forgot the guys. I don't know whether there is one that I can compare that I actually know that I can compare him to. I don't think there is. I don't think I know a name, so I'm not going to try. It's just he's out there seeing what damage he can do and how badly he can screw things up, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. So that's just another little thing we have to worry about over there. You know, these are all of these little things are adding up to a conflict within this country that is not going to be a peaceful one. At some point in time, it's going to become violent. Now, how violent, how much of a degree it's going to be, when you have all the rich people saying, "Well, if you go, if you dissent or you protest, you're fired." That's a big thing to a lot of people, especially if you got a wife and kids sitting at home and whatnot. Protesting isn't something like it was in the '60s, because we don't have as much free love going on and stuff. It's not a good vibe anymore. It's a very bad vibe. Protesting doesn't mean young people aren't involved that much in the protests as they were in the '60s and early '70s and whatnot. Every May there used to be protests at the schools. In Europe, with the same thing, people would protest. So not anymore. You know, there's nothing going on anymore. There's not enough energy on college campuses because the campuses are being intimidated. They don't want to lose their funding. There's so many little things, little fires going on that have to be put out before we can go after the big fire, that it scatters the resources of the people that are against Trump, you know? And until they figure out a way to unite everybody that's against Trump, uh, you can, like any revolution, you're going to sit down and have arguments after the fact that, you know, well, we don't really want to do that. Let's do this. Well, those hopefully will be peaceful discussions. But what's going to happen is that the major problem, which is Donald Trump, is not negotiable anymore. And it's not just Donald Trump. And I can't emphasize this enough. You've got Stephen Miller in the background advising the senior advisor to the president that just is whispering in his ear, "Let's do this, Donnie. It's cool." Donnie goes and do it. He goes and does it. He doesn't care. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand the ramifications of any of this stuff. Right now, those people in power are sitting in their expensive office chairs or laying on their couch or on their yachts cruising the world, and they don't give a shit about what's going on in the United States. They don't care whether you've got food or the price of gas is too high. They don't care. When they can't get gas for their planes and for their boats, then they'll start to care a little bit. But then you know what? They'll go to Musk. Can you build me an electric car? Or somebody like Musk or something. Tesla. Some of the other companies are out there. And then they won't have to worry about gasoline or stuff like that. They don't worry about food. They'll buy a farm, use all the food up. They won't just leave it as dry earth. That's the stupidity of rich people. Rich people don't have to think beyond the moment. Their only thinking is, can I get more money? Can I get more money? How long are you planning on living? All right. If you're 50 or 60 years old and you're a billionaire, how much longer do you plan on living? Even at an exorbitant lifestyle, the odds of you using up $1 billion, if you live off the interest of $1 billion, is astronomical. You pretty much can't do it unless you're really deliberately just basically throwing money away on really stupid stuff. But to maintain your present lifestyle, yeah, you can. Maybe you don't get a trip to Europe this spring, but depends how old you are, whether you want to go or not. Maybe you just want to move there. You can do that, and probably on $1 billion, you can live more extravagantly in Europe than you can live here. It's kind of a dumb situation, don't you think? But it's the old saying: the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And I'm glad I'm not a real young person right now. I'd be wanting to do some stuff that I probably shouldn't and would probably get into a lot of trouble for and probably not capable of doing. But I would definitely be more involved than I was before because now I know it's coming. Now I understand human greed a whole lot better. I didn't understand human greed before, but now I understand it. You know, it's kind of a pathetic thing, but uh, that's the way it is, you know. The Trump Fallon thing. Trump wants Fallon gone soon. He's got an article up. Better be gone. Better be done soon. Otherwise, he's going to try to take Disney apart. I think we should try to take Disney apart. I think there should be a huge, huge boycott. If they do anything to Fallon, that there should be a huge boycott of Disney, because only rich people or people with a great credit line can afford to go to Disney anymore. I can't afford to go to Disney. You know, I can't take all the money out of the bank and go on vacation to Disney and go into debt. I can't do that, even if I wanted to. Disney is no longer a place for people like me. All right. I'd much rather go to Kennedy Space Center. Uh, if my mother was alive, I'd go to the opera with her or something like that. You know, rather than go to Disney World or Disneyland. I've been to both of them, and I'm not impressed by them. And that's a funny thing because I went at an older age. I went when I was over 21, and to both places, and that's just what are you nuts? They're not built for people like me. Do I like some of the rides? Sure. But I also like the rides at Coney Island, you know? I don't have to go all over the world to see a roller coaster, and I don't. You know, I prefer to do certain things, and I like contests and stuff like that. But I don't like uh, money I have to spend and the time I have to spend in line. That's not a vacation to me. If I'm going to sit around and do nothing, I'd rather have a fishing rod in the water, and I just sit there and watch the blobber all day long. Or I'd like to sit back and read a book. I don't want to be standing in line for 2 or 3 hours just to go for a maximum 10-minute ride, and that's a lot of time. I don't think they are that long, most of them, but I don't know. Seems like they're a lot faster than that. They're just seconds, and it's called, to me, it's anticlimactic. To a lot of people, it's like, wow, that was great. Let's go do it again. Are you out of your friggin' mind? I'm going to go back and stand in line for another hour for 10 seconds. What, are you out of your mind? I think it's a pure waste of time and energy on my part. And I mean, it's good to experience stuff like that once in a while. It's fun, but I just can't stand in line that long. Not today. I couldn't do it at all because I'm just not capable of standing that long. But I don't know. I think that I try to tell these videos when I do these videos. I try to tell you what I think, and when I look at it, I say this looks like what it's about. And nobody's saying the same thing I am, or very few people are. Although a lot of what I've said in the past has now become out in like places like Occupy Democrats and whatnot. People are saying the same things I said about it's not the people, it's not Donald Trump, it's the people around him, that it's the whole Republican Party and the politics that are involved in that. It's become a racial issue. I say that, and now some other people are saying it. They're agreeing with me. So, what can I say? I don't think it's going to get solved in the courts or anyplace else. Especially since Trump is going around buying whoever he can buy. Trust me, those Supreme Court justices are richer now than they ever, especially Alito. and Thomas. They're richer now than they ever thought they possibly could be. And they've caught him, Thomas. They've caught him and his wife accepting gifts and stuff like that, trips, gifts, and everything else, and nothing's being done. So tell me, you think that the we have a democratic system that's actually working now? I don't think it's working anymore, folks. I'm sorry. I think it may be broken permanently. All right, listen, I've depressed everybody enough for a Thursday, so why don't we wait till tomorrow? We can really work on depressing people, okay? In the meantime, subscribe to my channel. You get to see me do this every day. I don't know what happened to my friends. Nobody's watching my videos anymore, so I'm a little depressed about that, but that's okay. I'll get over it. I probably offended somebody. I usually end up doing that sooner or later, you know. But as I've said before, all videos are recorded live and unedited. Okay, this is me. This is what I do. You like it, watch it. You don't. You don't have to. All right. So everybody, take care, and I will be back tomorrow. Hopefully on time again. We'll wait and see what happens. But in the meantime, everybody, take care. Have a great day. This is just pure bullshit.